Hey everybody, this is Eric Combs again, and tonight I'm talking about organizational skills. And I'm going to talk about some of the systems that I've developed over the course of the last 13 years that have really saved me a ton of time. I've had a lot of people ask me the last couple of weeks how I have time to do everything that I do, to still be able to teach a class and have a family life and write a book and make videos of everything that I do in my classroom. And the answer is I actually have all kinds of free time. This school year, I stayed every day until 5:30 teaching private lessons, but I went home immediately after that. I didn't stick around at all this year. This is the first weekend I've been in the entire school year, and there's only 2 days of school left. And the reason I came in was just to finish up the student accounts. But I have a ton of free time. And it's not that I have a lot of free time during the day. I have just as much prep time as a normal teacher in the school does, which I know isn't the case for a lot of you music teachers, unfortunately. But I have become so organized over the last few years that I actually have the entire curriculum for all 3 years planned out in advance to where I know what I'm going to be doing pretty well in every class period over the course of 3 years. And I have this all in a book, and so all I have to do is come in and run it. It's already planned out. I do make tweaks to it as need be, but there's not any planning. I come in and I do my job, and I just read the notes I've made for myself a few years ago, and it's working really well for me. So I want to talk about a few of those things. And yes, that is a flag that's taped on the wall. They would not give me a flag in my room, so I did something about it. Homemade flag. All right, I like to keep a clean desk. Up here I have my, of course, my money bag here, but this is stuff that's in use. It says urgent, stuff I need to go through now. In use, semi-urgent. I can wait a week or so on that. And this is just old stuff. Some of that stuff's been there for a few years, but I don't want to get rid of it. Over here I've got all the bills that I have. Every Friday I go through and I pay the bills. That way they don't start piling up, and then you get the district office all upset with you about that. So I try to keep on top of that. I also have my little pad of paper that has all of the incoming beginners, parents who have called me. That's what all these are, and I take notes on there. And I keep with that a list of what instrument all the kids were good at. So whenever the parent calls and says, hey, what instrument should my kid be playing, I can look back through my notes here underneath it and see exactly what I wrote down when I did the instrument tryout. So I'll be able to talk to them about that. So that's always there and handy. All right. Some other things I have. This is something that I'm sure all of you have on your wall or beside your desk or somewhere. It's a schedule. But what I did was I printed out one per week. And so this is just my schedule for the day. And these are sectionals. Those are 8th grade sectionals. These are 7th grade sectionals. 6th grade sectionals are right here. And then we've got our band, 6th grade band, 7th and 8th grade band. I also do an honor band before school. So I can go through and I can write notes on what I'm going to do that day. If there's a fire drill or something, I can write it down, or I can even look on a couple of weeks in advance and write stuff down. Any notes that I have, stuff that I need to take care of, I'll put a list there. I really like checklists. It's fun to mark stuff off lists. Next thing I have is a giant calendar, I call it. It's got a list of every single job I can think of that I need to do throughout the school year. And I've also backed it up 2 weeks in advance. So if I have, maybe I have to order a bus for the organizational contest or something, I'll put it 2 weeks before when I really need to get it done. That way I don't forget about it, and that way I'll get it done early. And that's pretty efficient, because then when I have some free time, which I have a lot of, I'll just look and see what the next thing is that I need to get done, do it, get it marked off the list. That way I'm not skipping things or scrambling, trying to do stuff last minute. Now I made an example here of a blank page. First year I did this is what it looked like. Every day that I did something, I wrote it in pencil. And at the end of the year, I went through and I put it all in on the computer and then just print it off for the next year, and there you have it. If you add anything, you can just add it to the computer file for the following year. This is a booklet that I have one of for every single student, and it tracks their progress. I've got a file cabinet right here. It's got everybody in it, divided up by sectionals. I've got 140 students, but they all have their own individual booklet. It's also got a page for every quarter that they're in school here, from 6th grade first quarter all the way to 8th grade last quarter. And he put the date of the lesson, what the previous assignment was, the new material that we cover, their next assignment, any notes of things that need to be worked on. I told you about my curriculum in a prior video. I've got 100 points, 10 ranks. This is rank 1, rank 2, rank 3, rank 4. Mark them off as they get them. And looks like this person still has 2 more points to go. So in their next lesson, what I'll do is we'll work on this point right here and get them going on that. This is especially helpful if you have more than one teacher in your building. We had that for a couple of years, and we would share kids for sectionals. So one week she would have them, and she would write down the notes here for what happened and what the assignment was, and then the next week I'd pull it out and I could look and see what they did, take a couple minutes before class, and then plan what I want to do from there. All right, this book is a little humiliating, actually. This is a list of all the things that I wish I would have done differently. I have and I got some notes in here also from prior year's concerts and stuff just to help remember that. But throughout the year, I keep a file on the computer that's called Notes for Next Year. This thing is 80 pages long. It's a list of things that went well, and mainly a list of things that I wish I would have done differently and just didn't work. So those things are all hard to remember, so I write them down as soon as I can remember them. Print them off, keep them in this booklet. Every summer I'll reread that. It's kind of neat to see the things that were bugging me 10 years ago that aren't bugging me anymore because I fixed them. So that's a nice little thing to keep you organized and help you keep track of your ideas. Over here, I've got a terabyte hard drive that I can take home with me, so I don't have to take the computer back and forth. But save all of your files, because most of the stuff that you use, you're going to use again next year as well. I know this is really hard to see, but this up here, this is money. This is my budget and all my accounts. These are the books that I'm writing. Rhythm slides that I use in class, stuff for all Illinois junior band, the recordings and stuff I do for that, files on curriculum. We go to Holiday World, which is an amusement park, so that's the forms for that. INLMEA pictures, you get the point. Inventory. I suggest having something for programs so that whenever you save a program, you'll always have that file. You can go back and you can see all your programs from your career. So that's a really nice one to have. Purchase orders, I keep all those. All the SLOs that I do, student learning objectives that they require in Illinois, I keep all those from previous years. Seating charts, schedules, I know exactly where everything is. And the other really important one is letters. So I've got current letters from the year right here and templates of letters from previous years. Those are really handy to pull up. Behind me, I have vocabulary tests for each one of the ranks in the rank system that I talked about. So if a kid says they want to take a vocabulary test, I can pull it out. I've got the district audition music. I've got instrument repairs, pizza party stuff, shirt order forms, old programs that I've printed off, contest results. I've got my CPDUs over here. So nice to be able to keep those things organized. Anytime that you have a party or a fundraiser during the year, you can make a folder for it and keep all that stuff there. That way it's not all laying on your desk. All right. Some of you may have kids who go to band and choir, and you have to share, and they're always coming into your room and they're asking, is it a band day or is it a choir day? And the solution that we came up for that is, there's the band room, there's the choir room. Right in between it, we've got the little arrows that we just put. I got those at Walmart, and they just glued onto the wall there. 7th and 8th grade band today is going to go to the band room. 6th grade, if you're in band and choir, you're going to the choir room. So the kids can just look at that at the beginning of the day and they know where they're going. Okay, let's come on inside here. Up on my podium, there's a couple of things that I always have to have with me. I highly recommend getting something like this. Of course, pink was the only color they had at Walmart this year. But all it is a calendar by day. So on Monday the 14th, you come, these kids aren't going to Holiday World. I put a note there for that. These were some kids who were absent that day. Anytime anybody buys a reed or oil or something, you can put it in here and then enter it into their account. If an instrument breaks or something, and a lot of times you might forget by the end of the day, just make a note here. And then on Friday, go through and look through all your notes and see what you may have forgotten through the week. I also keep a little booklet of all the seating charts. I like booklets. Makes it easy to take attendance, and sometimes I forget a kid's name and I can just glance down and then I don't feel embarrassed. Also, I got so tired of writing passes for kids to go to the nurse, I finally just made up a whole bunch of these. Important to have some of those with you. I've also got tardy slips there, so they're not tardy to class. I just keep them behind the podium. Another thing that is extremely helpful is right behind your podium, having your reeds, and I have them here by size. Of course, I need some more 2.5 clarinet reeds there. Clarinet reeds, the bigger woodwinds, and then we've got our saxophone reeds over here. You always want to have some Band-Aids there too. It's amazing how many kids come to band and they're bleeding. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Kids are going to want oil and swabs and stuff like that. Ligatures are always breaking during class. People step on them. Cork grease, thumb rests for clarinets. I've got that all out and just in these little boxes here. Now, I can't show you this because it's actually in my car right now. Solo and ensemble folder. I've got all this divided with hanging files by instrument, ensembles and solos. But then the other thing that I do is I'll have a little 3-ring binder for every instrument. So there might be a saxophone binder, and then I've divided out the music by level, grade level. And then all I have to do is if I have a saxophone player that's going to take a solo, I can just hand them that binder with just the solo part in it, and they can flip through it and see what it is that they want to do, and I can talk them through that. So I've actually got all this music in a little binder that they can look at. That makes solo and ensemble a whole lot easier. Okay, we're going to move into the music library. If anybody's interested in getting something like this, you can message me and I can give you the information on where you can get one. A lot of you have them already, but here we've got the company printed these up for us. We made an Excel file. It's got the number and it's got the song there. I would recommend that as you're making these, that you even have a kid do this for you. Go through and write down the number on the folder here. That way, whenever you pass out music and you're going to put stuff back up, you can just have a student come in here for you and tell them look at the number and they can file it. I don't do any filing. The kids do all of my filing for me. That saves a ton of time. So that's my filing tip. Here's where the copyright police are probably going to be after me. I assure you I've done research on this and it's legal because I have originals for everything. This is the biggest time saver that I'm going to share with you. Now, these are all my warm-up books, and as you can see, I've bought multiple copies of each instrument so that I have one original for every player in the band, and all 3 of these are full of all my warm-ups. I do not pass those out, though, because that takes forever. You all know that. In fact, passing out music all year takes forever, so I do it all in the summer. I don't worry about making copies of music during the school year. So we might go through 50 to 75 songs in a year, just in one grade level. This is my director's packet. In 6th grade beginning band, I always like to run through all of these songs. And well, this is actually a 7th grade folder. This is my 6th grade folder. So I got some warm-ups in the front, but then I've just got all my songs that we're going to do for the year right here. Now I can go through and I can tweak this from year to year and add stuff if I want to, but I'll do that over the summer. And then all of the students get a little booklet like that too as well. Now I've got all the originals of all these. I don't let the kids keep them, but they can write in them, and at the end of the year they give them back to me. You're going to need a ton of these things and a binding machine, but every kid has their own little booklet of all these songs. Sometimes I'll do a booklet like this per 9 weeks, and if you get kids to help you, it really doesn't take a long time, and then you don't have to worry about it the rest of the 9 weeks. I will still add stuff into the mix that I give the kids, but then I'll just give them loose papers. Sometimes I'll even just give them the originals for that if I decide that there's something else I want them to read. But I make sight reading booklets, I make pep band booklets like this, I make the concert music